Hello, hello. This is Kristina, your host today. And today is a new episode of KSM Podcast, Growing Business Online with Kristina. And I'm so happy today to have my special guest speaker, Nevena Bazalac. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Nevena, welcome to the
Yes.
new episode of KSM Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Christina. It's great to be here with your audience and you today.
Thank you so much for joining me today. And Nevena, can you share with us who you are, what you do, and where are you from? There are three questions for you, but I know that it's not to be so hard enough for you to answer on that.
So I'm originally from Serbia, same as you, actually. I am currently, for the last 8 years, based in Dubai. I've been building my business and working here in Dubai for almost 8 years. Who am I? That's a question I love because I found we often identify ourselves with the roles we take in life, like, oh, I'm a mom or I am a business owner. But I just like to see myself as a person that loves to create, love to contribute, someone that believes that we come here with a lot of talent and someone that loves to take on new challenges and grow and learn. So I'm someone very passionate about achieving new things. I like to see myself as a high achiever and someone who likes to take on new challenges.
That's fantastic, and to be honest, when I met you online, and I'm super happy because I saw your profile and with the one training with Tony Robbins, and I said, okay, maybe she's from Serbia, I don't know, but finally we connected and we're here together. And congratulations on your what you do, and can you share with us about you? How did you about maybe your corporate in did you work in some corporate do you have corporate background for it? Because I always ask my guest speakers just to share with, because of audience just know, and every single story could impact other listeners to start their own business journey.
Yes. It's a bit long story, but I just want to share a couple of points. So, because what I studied, what I was passionate back then when I was younger, has nothing to do with what I'm doing today. And it sometimes seems like obstacle, if you want to submit a CV and they're like, "How are you in business?" and you study that. But I just want to share the story because it might inspire people. Because through life, you might change, your interest might change, and it's okay to grow and learn new things and want to change and start something new. And that's what business is, right? But I went to medical high school. I had a physiotherapy diploma. I love medicine, but I didn't want to be a doctor. I like working with people. So, and I like working with children. And I actually studied special education, which has a lot of psychology, and that helped me a lot in my work today. But I think I was always an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what entrepreneur means. I was always hustling. I always had sales jobs. I was always volunteering and doing 3 times at the same time. I wanted to make extra income. I would do massages. I would go here. I would do there. So I was always volunteering in community, organizing events. I was a professional dancer. I organized huge festivals. So I was always an entrepreneur. I just didn't understand what entrepreneur is. But looking back, that's who I am. And after my university, I actually graduated as a top student in my generation. And I loved what I studied. But at that time, back in Serbia, it was very hard to get a job. And I was working in sales, in retail, in shopping malls, whatever I could do. I would do massages. I would do 2, 3 things because I wanted to move forward. I saw myself as someone who is now adult. I didn't want to go back to my hometown, live with my parents. But it was a very tough couple of years. And I moved to Dubai. Actually, I was applying to move to Canada and different countries. And then I met a friend who told me, why don't you try and get a job in Dubai? So I moved here and I got a job, actually in education field. And after 3 months, I was put to be a manager because there was a merger between two very large company. It's actually the biggest company here in UAE for early education. And it was amazing experience, tough at the time of a merger, but I learned a lot about mergers, acquisitions. I got a CEO of a company coming to me and talking about sales, sales, sales. And this was the moment when I learned, I was like, finally, I think I'm working in my field, education, and they're telling me sales, sales, sales. And that's when I realized sales is everything. Business needs sales. If you can master sales and learn sales, you don't have to worry in life. And I was always actually in sales. My mom has a retail shop since a child. I worked in sales, and I was working in different stores back in Belgrade in Serbia. And I learned a lot about marketing. I learned a lot about customer experience and service, dealing with very tough customers. We had over, I believe, 86 nationalities in one branch that I managed. So you have different cultures, some things that for you are normal and other culture are not. And, it was a very good experience, tough time, but very good experience. And I have to say I was very young. I came here, I was 26 years old. And I was just looking for opportunities. And often, I think because of our background, I felt like I just want opportunity until I start realizing that I'm underpaid. And I studied to, get promotions, and I got additional diplomas. And I was told, and I believe everything happens for a reason, I was told that, I'm paid less than other people because of certain things, where I'm from, and I'm not a native English speaker, and this and that. And I was told that directly in my face. And it was a little bit shocking, but that was the moment I decided this is it. I'm not going to allow anyone define how much I'm worth. And I want everyone who is listening, do not define other people. Let other people define your worth. And everything happens for a reason. And at that time, I started reading some personal development books. And I was 28 years old, and I remember I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was one of the first books that really shocked me, because nobody ever taught us, at least back in my country and my family, what is passive income, investments. And I promised to myself, I'm going to read any book possible. I'm going to go to every, seminar. And that led me to one of the seminars. It was actually a free seminar where I met my first mentor. And he told me, why don't you start your own business? And I never saw myself as someone who can have own businesses and writing books and things. But there is always that one person, I believe, that kind of leads you to make that big step.
And this is congratulations. You have such amazing experience, because you have many, like sales and massage therapists and medicine and other things. So, and you finally, this is a way how you try to find yourself, in a way to know what to do. And this is, and for me, it was like I ran my team for the web graphic 14 years. And then I realized that I can sit down here in Belgrade and travel around the world in online space. And this is really true. And this is how KSM podcast started, just like to people with people all around the world. And this is the way how I met entrepreneurs for my country. It's lovely, just to be honest. And Nevena, can you share with us, and finally you read that book and you started your own business, your agency, or consulting, something like that.
Yes.
And can you share with us what you mentioned, but maybe what mostly triggered you to start that? What was the trigger, like, that you say, okay, this is for me? Finally you go there, you do this, you do that, but finally you are your own boss now, like your own business owner. And can you share with us, how did you start that, and what do you do now, in terms of your business and your clients?
Yes. I also have a podcast, and I interview so many entrepreneurs, and there are people who, they're blessed to understand business. They're blessed to understand exit strategies. And they're like, I'm going to build this business and sell it. I honestly had no idea, right? I had no business experience, but I was blessed to have a mentor by my side before I started. And I believe in coaching and mentorship so much, because that saves you a lot of time. When I coach some of my clients, after 3-4 weeks, they close high ticket sales. I'm like, I wish I had that, because you can cut your way if you have someone to hold your hand and tell you how to do things and how to build a business. So this is my first advice. And I think this was the blessing, because before I resigned, I knew I'm going to resign my job. I was applying for kind of like better jobs, but nothing came through, I believe, for a reason. And my coach, my mentor, is still a dear friend, like a family to me up to this day. He told me, why don't you start your own consulting? And I honestly in my head asked myself, what is consulting? I didn't even understood this, like my mind was not broad enough to understand there's so many opportunities to make money and there are different types, because I was raised in a very traditional, way, go to university, you get a job, and that's it. So I didn't understand that someone can pay me for my skills. And this was in 2019. He talked about writing a book. That book is your business card and it can position you as authority. And he gave me 45 days to write a book. I was still working full time. And having someone to hold you accountable really helped me. So I wrote my book. And my first goal was to double my income I had in my job. And I achieved that after 4 months. It was a very tough time because I just jumped into unknown. I had savings for 4 months. I had no idea how I'm going to survive. And I had a lot of anxiety. But at the time, I just spent my whole days in personal development, Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, anything I could find to program my mind and learn how to deal. And that's a skill that only entrepreneurs have, because you're dealing with uncertainty all the time. And 1 month you have income, another one you don't, then you make 10 times more, but then nothing happened for 4 months, you're waiting on big contracts. So I started, and I have to be honest, in that first year I was focused on consulting in education sector. And I signed a couple of nice contracts, and I was almost sorted for next 6-8 months. And COVID happened in March. And I remember in 1 week in March, all of my clients canceled because all education sector was closed for 9 months in Dubai. It's all private. They had no fund. Why would they need a consultant? Why would they need a trainer? I did like a lot of institutes where I was training and consulting, and nobody needed my services anymore. And I had to pivot. So I took some savings I had. I hired a new mentor at the time to help me switch an online world, to learn how to run webinars. And I finished my NLP diploma actually, and to start coaching people one-to-one. And it took me a while to also learn about, because I shifted these years in my niche, and I'm saying this for a reason, because you have to understand they're faster moving niches than other. You can make money in anything, but there's certain audience, and then they need something, they need it urgently. There are certain people, they would like that, but it's not so necessary for them or urgent for them. And that's what I learned back then. And that's important lesson for every entrepreneur. If you're jumping, find something that people want to buy, like they really need it. If they need it in 1 year time or 5 years time, or, you're not going to sell enough. So you need to find something that really there is a demand, or you create a demand. And I learned that because it was moving a little bit slowly. And everybody were asking me always about sales and starting their own business. And I shifted at that time in working with startups because I was getting sales. I understood how to brand myself. I understood social media, marketing, everything. And as I was growing, I moved towards, now we consult very big companies. I'm blessed that we trained and consulted some of the biggest companies here in Dubai. And yes, we mostly help them write their standard operating procedures, help them grow, train their teams, focusing on sales, customer service, and operations. So that's what my company, L.A.K.E Consulting, we are actually doing now.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on your decision.
Thanks.
And sometimes you can see that we always have some kind of obstacles in terms of wires came, and then we need to shift it. For me, online space was so fit for me because it wasn't go out of my box, because I'm in online space for now 14 years. So for me it was like there are people who needed that to help them to move forward, or just they didn't know how to do it in terms of online space. And and this is how you came up with that. And who do you mostly work with? As you mentioned, startup, but also you work online as well, and offline. And I think that you just do some kind of, when I went through your social media, I saw always something like that there are people in front of you who do you educate them, or like a sessions or seminars or master classes. Can you share with us about that? You mentioned that you work with startups in Dubai, but in terms of um, overseas countries, or who with people who are mostly your in what is your niche to connect with
Yeah.
your potential clients?
So there are two ways, right? If we work with startups, or sometimes I work with top executives or business owners, that's where online comes in, because it saves time. And if you work with one person at a time, our consulting sessions are on Zoom. So we usually have my MSA method, where we cover different areas in growing the business and pressing problems. And as a consultant, you're not coaching person, you're not letting them figure things out. You're really helping them in finding the solution and trying new things and thinking outside the box. So that's where online happens. I also had different courses over the years that I was selling and my clients are using and have access to. And I think it's amazing, because you can, have clients from Australia to United States, Europe, all around the world, and they can see results and get results. But when it comes to, for example, other aspect is companies. Usually it's in person here in UAE. Mostly my focus this couple of years was here in Dubai and UAE. So with companies, we go into companies, a consultant, I observe, spend a couple of weeks going there, full day, observing what's happening, and discovering, assessing all the employees and discovering what they have to improve, what they can improve. And then we write new processes and procedures for them. And what I discovered and how I came to that, because there's so much growth among companies here, but they have no processes in place. So basically, they are struggling. The more you're growing, the more you're struggling if things are not running in place, and the problems just become bigger, and you start losing customers and clients because you cannot serve them. And that's what we go in place, and then we train the whole team on the new procedure. And then as a consultant, the biggest value is that you go again and observe, and as you go, you can change things. Like, this doesn't work, let's improve it. Or what was the feedback on this, let's improve it. So it's usually ongoing process, minimum 3 to 6 months on retainer. When we work with companies and their teams. But the events, I run a lot of different events, master classes, in-person seminars across Dubai almost every month. And we had from 50 to 150 people. Now I'm organizing huge invitation only for top CEOs in June. And then we're going to have, around the world mastermind for executives. They're gonna be together, brainstorm on ideas, and travel the world together a couple of times a year, build relationship and build their network.
That's fantastic. Congratulations on that. Just it's sounds great, because and very, very attractable. I mean, so and in terms of as you said, you work session 1-to-1, or just and when people when they work with you and companies as well, do you have specific niche? You start up, but maybe what would be the most industry which you work with, and also how they after working with you, how do they feel? What are their impressions?
Yes. I mean, everyone can go on Nevena Bazalac, my LinkedIn. There is, I don't know, right now, 20 something testimonials written by some of my clients. Also on my Instagram, there is more. And you can see different success stories. And unfortunately, some of the big companies I'm working with, we have NDA, and I cannot disclose that I'm working with them for several reasons, because I have access to all of their documents and information. But the niche, you asked me first question about niche. So when it comes to startups, if you, for example, or anyone listening, you come and you want to start a business, we do assessment and see where you are and what ideas you have. I recommend that you do a little bit of market research for that idea. And then I created in my consulting MSA method, which stands for Mindset, Systems, and Action. And it's very important, because a lot of coaching world, There's a lot of coaches that support you with mindset, but it's not enough. You have to learn different systems and strategies. You need to know pricing strategy, how to position yourself. You need to learn branding strategy. You need to have prospecting process. You need to have marketing processes, sales processes. You need to learn finances, basic finances at least. So these are the couple of steps that we take. Depends on how long the program client takes, but we usually start from branding, marketing, pricing the products, and packaging them, how they can price them in different tiers. And then I teach them on how to prospect, where to find the clients, how to sell. We go into depth sales training, which most people never had, and that's helped them. And most of my clients, I will tell you, after 3 to 4 sessions, 3 to 4 weeks in the program, they sign up, let's say, high ticket client, which is over $2,000, and they get a return on investment because in branding part, we supported them on create themselves as authority and show they're credible and they know they're expert in their field or their products are good. And then learning how to prospect, they start prospecting, networking, getting some inquiries. And then with the sales training, they learn how to close the sale. So very quickly, all of my clients, they see results. Specific industry as a niche, no, not necessarily, because no matter what business you're starting, there are certain basics, like in marketing, in sales, that you have to cover. So you have to learn. So I have from accounting, from marketing companies, fitness industry, software developers, app developers, coaches, consultants, so many different food industry, people who create different products. All of them are my clients, and we cover those things in different aspects. So all of those basic things, basically the business strategies are business strategies, no matter what business if you watch Shark Tank, you have to know your numbers, you have to, create demand, you have to sell, and that's it. The business is not a rocket science. So when it comes to those things with startups and entrepreneurs, I work with almost everyone.
That's fantastic. And, as you mentioned, you work in Dubai mostly, but also you work online, just all around the globe. Is that correct?
Yes. So with one-to-one, even clients in Dubai, we always do online sessions. I believe time is money. So, we, instead of driving for an hour to meet them, we just jump on Zoom. We can share screen. They can learn. They can see things. And it just brings better results, honestly. It's just when it works in companies and consulting, that's when I and some people who work with me in the team, we go into company and it's much in-depth work. But otherwise, with people one-to-one, it's almost always online.
As you mentioned about your courses, do you have some kind of free resources or something like that when listeners can connect with you, maybe to use it, to see that and share with that? Can you share with us your website? And I will put all those information in. It's going to be this podcast in Amazon, Apple, and on Spotify, and also it's going to be video podcast in my Facebook group. But just for our listeners who wanted to connect with you, because this is an amazing story, just to connect with Nevena.
So yeah, absolutely. So you can connect with me on all social media under my name, Nevena Bazalac. But my company name is L.A.K.E Consulting, and the website is www.lakeconsulting.org. O-R-G. However, we did had a different website before. We just upgraded. So some of the courses are not on this new website yet. And my ebook, I have an ebook, but we can find a way to share it with the listeners. And I just published 2 weeks ago a new book. It's available on Amazon. It's called You Don't Have a Business, and I talk about my processes and everything you need as a startup. So if you read Kindle or hard copy, just go on Amazon and find a book called You Don't Have a Business. It's a maybe interesting name, but it came through a discussion with my mentor and myself, explaining to people that there's difference between being self-employed and having a business, right? Business is an entity where you can step out and the systems will run it itself when you have employees. But a lot of startups, they think they have a business, but they're actually self-employed. And I explain my MSA method, right? We talk about mindset, all different systems you need. You can learn so much in the book. So go and get it on Amazon, either Kindle or paperback version. You Don't Have a Business.
That's fantastic. And also, I'm one of the co-author of the book Global Women in Business, which is published and promoted in 2019 in Melbourne, Australia. So I'm super happy with that. And what I wanted to say, I translated that book in Serbian. So this year is going to be in Serbian, maybe this summer. So I translated finally, but it's going to be a Serbian version as well. And also, can you share with us a little bit the name of your podcast when people can go and listen it? Because I know I have many questions, but sometimes, as a podcaster as well, that people just don't have time to listen all around almost 1 hour, just maybe 30 minutes is quite enough for listeners when they can drive and listen audio or something like that.
Yeah, actually, in my podcast, I always try to keep it up to 30 minutes. Sometimes we go to 40, 45. Some people have so much to give and to share. But I'm also someone who is driving and usually 30 minutes, and I want to finish the episode. So my podcast is called Entrepreneurship Lab. It's on all platforms, so go check it out. I talk a lot myself, and I interview amazing entrepreneurs from e-commerce to lawyers. I just had an incredible inventor of a kitchen appliance. She's brilliant. She completely invented a new product. I mean, it's amazing. I search for really, really successful entrepreneurs, experts in their field. So we gather information as much as possible where I learn, and then everyone listening learns. So go to Entrepreneurship Lab and subscribe. And that's a free information for everyone who wants to learn more.
Free content. And now I always ask before we ramp up our call today and our episode, I always ask my guest speakers, what is your message for audience who wanted to start business, or they're in business, or just they wanted to shift and move to the online space? However, if they have a business idea, just maybe I think that they need to try. It's worth it just to try. Then don't you never know how it's going to be, because there are people who want, but they know they're in stuck, and sometimes I want that, but I don't know how.
Yes, you're gonna many times not know how, but until you start doing it, it's just such an incredible learning. And it's so addictive. It's so hard. I'll be honest, it's very hard. And only entrepreneurs can understand entrepreneurs. And the thing is, once you understand, you have, yeah, maybe you feel like you have safety in your job and you're like, I have a paycheck. But when you understand that with your business, everything you're building, it's only for you, and that at some point you're going to make 10 times, 100 times more. For me, it's so strong that I cannot go back. Right? I cannot go back and trading my time for money when I know that everything I'm creating, I'm just like doubling. I made things, I made money that 5 years ago I never thought I would make through one project, at one moment of time, and people would pay me. I never thought, I can be there, and who knows what the future brings. I just feel like I just started. So, if you want to start, you have to understand it's going to be hard. It's definitely not for everyone. I would say be surrounded with entrepreneurs. Do not get disappointed with your family and your friends not understanding you. Like, I have friends and family telling me I'm crazy, I'm struggling sometimes, I go through tough times, and I don't even have, sometimes I cannot even talk with them about it because they don't understand it. So I can only talk about it with my mentors and coaches and entrepreneurs. So you have to find your tribe. You have to be surrounded with like-minded people and shut those off. Go have coffee, have a small chat, with a small talk with your friends and family, but then about business, leave it to you, and keep it to yourself, because the vision you have, other people don't, and you have to stick to it through tough times.
And don't forget to connect with Nevena. He could help you a lot. Just go and have coffee, digital coffee chat with her. So, Nevena, thank you so much for being my guest speaker today. I'm so happy with that, and you shared such amazing story, very valued story for our listeners, and maybe some of them who will listen to this episode will have some impact to move forward in their business and life.
Thank you, Kristina, for having me.
Thank you so much for having you today. Have a fantastic day, and bye for now. Bye.